we did it. We finally did it. We broke the rules. We went over 3 hours to review something. Welcome to 3 hours later. My name is Matt. I'm joined with Alex.
Hey.
And I summon Hannah. Whoa.
That was creepy.
That was the plan.
Nice. Good work.
So we're joining here today, and Hannah's coming from the Midnight Society to talk about the Snyder Cut Justice League. 4 hours and 2 whole minutes of something, and we got some opinions.
Yeah,
but first
we have a lot.
I believe Alex wants to kind of talk about how we got here. How did we get the Snyder Cut?
How did we get the Snyder Cut?
So, what did we do to deserve this?
So Zack Snyder was the original director for Justice League. But a huge family event happened. He removed himself from the project after his daughter died from suicide. So Josh Whedon comes in to take over. And he had a successful run. He teamed up with Marvel for Avengers and Age of Ultron. But Whedon had a different vision. And so there's a lot of reshots, a lot of cuts, and they released, and we had opinions on those. And it was it didn't seem coherent, at least to me. And I think a lot of people too. And so when the fans learned that there was extra footage, an insane amount of extra footage, started hashtag release the Snyder Cut, and fans won that battle, and we finally get to watch it. And so here we are after watching 4 hours of the Snyder Cut.
4 hours?
4 hours later.
4 hours later. Bum, 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 bum.
So I'm the only one that's watched it more than once, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I had to take like 2 days. How long did it take you guys to watch it? Because it took me 2 days to watch this.
I did watch it in the one day, but I took a lot of breaks.
The day it came out, I woke up at 5 a.m. because I was trying to buy a new graphics card, and that did not work. And so I'm sitting there at like 6:05, pissed off that I woke up early, needed something to do, and went, I guess I'll do this until I go to work. And I did. I regret all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason I watched it was so we could talk about it here. Otherwise, I probably still would not have watched it yet.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
no.
3 of us.
We did therapy.
I think I would have pushed it off too. I don't think it was a huge anticipation for me. I was curious about it. I definitely would have liked to see what his vision was fulfilled.
Just the whole idea is what bothered me is just it's a 4 hour thing. Like every time I'm going to watch something, I always do that thing where it's like, okay, if I watch this now, it's going to be this time when I'm done. And it just
you do like the opportunity cost. You do like
because I'm like
some economy in there.
6 o'clock, and when I'm done, it's going to be 10 o'clock, and then it's probably time for bed because I'm old.
The funny thing is, I don't want to say I didn't mind that it was 4 hours long, but that's not what made me not want to watch it. What made me not want to watch it was that I really dislike all the DC movies that are in like the Snyderiest of them. Like I like Shazam. I like Shazam a ton. I think that was a super fun movie. I really like 2/3, maybe a little bit more than 2/3 of the first Wonder Woman movie. I do think it gets maybe a little bit more credit than it deserves just because it was a coherent film. And so I feel like if we were on like a sliding scale, it's as good as everyone said, but otherwise I was like, it's fine. It's a good, fun movie. I enjoy the character. I just hated the end of it so much.
Yeah.
But like, I hated Man of Steel. Like I was angry when I walked out of that movie. Because I love Superman so much, and I'm all for like, hey, if you want to do your interpretation of the character, do it. But there's certain aspects of the character that are so core to what he is in my mind that movie broke those. And it's nothing like fucking. I don't even care that he killed Zod like that.
I was gonna say
spoilers for all these movies.
Was his neck.
But even that, like, I don't mind that because I understand that. Like that makes sense. The biggest issue I have with that movie is the portrayal of Jonathan Kent and how that informs Clark/Superman. That's such an important part of his story, and like that's the whole point of all the Elseworlds books is like, look what happens when he's not raised by Ma and Pa Kent. He's raised by Soviets, and he becomes a Soviet propagandist, or he's raised by these people and becomes this guy. Like that's always the trick. Is
General Zod.
But yeah, but that's always the trick. Is like it's so intrinsic to his character in the same way that it's intrinsic to Peter Parker that Uncle Ben exists and dies.
Yeah.
And
see that.
and Man of Steel felt to me like if instead of Uncle Ben saying with great power there comes great responsibility, he said, with great power, yeah, just do what you want to do. You don't owe anybody anything. And Ma Kent is almost as guilty, but just I don't know. I have huge issues with that movie.
Well, so is it the issue that he died, or what was the issue with?
It's the fact that he died without teaching a lesson, because I really think they could have done that and I think what the intention was to show Clark that no matter how powerful you are, you can't save everybody. And that's such an important lesson for him to learn. And that's a lesson Bruce doesn't learn. Bruce doesn't learn that lesson. Bruce believes if he was just Batman, he could save his parents. Bruce believes that if he's Batman, he can save Gotham. And Clark knows no matter how powerful he is and no matter how much of a god he essentially is, he cannot save everybody. And that is what makes him special to me. And then you go to Batman v Superman, and there's a reason that movie is the butt of so many jokes. It's got some cool scenes in it. Like it's probably got the best Batman fight scene of any movie that's ever existed. But it's also got the Martha scene, and it's also got the Lois not having shit to do, going back and forth, picking up a spear. And also, it's got Clark deciding, I have to kill Doomsday with this spear, which will clearly go into me as well. When you have like 3 feet away from him, a woman who's absolutely immune to kryptonite, who could have just done it. Like almost as powerful, straight up immune to the kryptonite. So like I was not the audience for this movie. I was not the audience for the original, the Whedon cut or the theatrical cut that came out. That movie legitimately angered me so much that even though I've watched Man of Steel multiple times, even though I don't like it, I've watched Batman v Superman multiple times, including the like unrated extended edition, which I do think fixes some stuff. I only ever watched Justice League once because I was so mad about how bad that movie was. And I had not watched it again until the day before this came out.
Oh, so you put even more hours in.
Oh, I've now watched it one more time since then.
Yeah.
I've got a solid 12 hours of Justice League in me over the last week.
No, that's
Ain't more than I have.
almost a work half-time job.
Well,
Yeah, well, I mean, I care a lot about this shit. That's why I watch it. Like, even though I don't like it, I care so much.
so you've hated at least like 36 hours of it.
Well, the weird part
like the
is,
full DC.
I know we'll get into like your guys' opinions of the Snyder cut. I really liked it. Like for real. Like I'm not even like being sarcastic. I definitely have issues with it. I definitely think it does not need to be 4 hours long. Or if it is, figure out how to split that shit up, because to ask a 4-hour movie is too much.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, what they really needed to
I
do,
really liked it.
they needed to do like the Hateful Eight on Netflix. Like
Yes.
just actually do like almost like a season where you actually have, like, I know they did break it up in chapters and everything, but actually do that on HBO Max, where it's just like, here's the first chunk, and you can see how much you have left. You can watch it as you want instead of like one full sitting and all that. And I think that would have been a little bit more appealing for me. Like, okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. And if I do start liking it, I can binge it all right away versus like feeling like I'm going to be forced to watch a 4-hour thing.
Yeah.
So
and
overall,
we're definitely not the ones to say all bad or all good, right? We like to break them down, and
I
so
don't
I
deal with
kind of want,
absolutes.
right?
you're the Batman of the group.
Yeah.
So I know I have.
There's
to
even 1%
sometimes.
chance it's bad. It's rotten on
So-
Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't murder people. I just make sure they can never walk.
He's just
He
sleeping.
murders a lot of people, though. So let's,
He
let's break
does.
it down.
I have
Let's break it
issues.
down by character. All right. So let's start off with Cyborg, and it's just talk about Ray Fisher as an
Should
actor.
we-
As his,
Before we do that, like just give our like straight out opinion of the entire thing first, or do we have
yeah,
a
we
spot
could
for
do that.
Because I just want to get it out now. I don't hate it. I'm very upset. I was very upset thinking about watching it beforehand. I think it's okay, but also it is a 4-hour thing, and for it being 4 hours, I kind of really hope and wanted it to be more than just okay. That's why I can never like really go back and watch it again, because it's just like, all right, yeah, that was all right, and that was like my full opinion of it was just like, all right, It was definitely better than the first one. It was coherent. I knew what was going on at all times, and so I appreciated that part. But again, it was just like this thing that's been hyped up for so long, and it's almost like everyone is celebrating just because it did the bare minimum as far as storytelling, telling, you know. So that was my whole thing. And
The way I described it was, it felt like a good, and I really, okay, I really don't want to get into comparing this to Marvel movies because I do think they're different things. I think they're serving different audiences for the most part. But if we're gonna, in my opinion, if I'm gonna do a raw comparison, it feels like a mid-tier Phase One movie.
yeah,
It feels like a movie that, shockingly, despite the fact that it's finishing a 3-part story, is setting up a ton of stuff. And like, that's the weird part to me, is that for what was supposed to be their grand payoff, like just again proving how they massively fucked up the Marvel method of making movies because they were chasing that so hard. It wasn't a payoff movie. It was under the guise of a payoff movie, but all it was 100% more setup. Set up Aquaman, set up the Flash, set up the Cyborg, set up everything.
So many origins.
Yeah.
In this, when they should have had
this would have been a phenomenal movie. Honestly, I think this would have been a good enough movie to put out as the first movie.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows Superman. Everybody knows Batman. Don't piss me off with Jonathan Kent. Just start with Superman's dead. Like, cool. We all get it. We all understand that character. But we had to watch like a lot of other bad movies first. What do you think, Alex?
You know, I mixed. I appreciate the storytelling of this movie. I did like Flash's character a bit more. Cyborg's their development better.
Yeah, Cyborg was there this time.
Yeah, he was there, and he's a badass character. And I'm glad that there was more of it. As far as the action scenes and all that, I was actually the most pumped for the first war, the war that happened years ago.
Yeah,
and I think that was so cool the way it was filmed, the action of it.
It's because it's 300.
It was 300.
Yeah,
it was, and that was awesome. But we'll get more into it. I don't like the directing style. It throws me off quite a bit throughout the whole film. But overall, it was a comprehensive story. I liked it. I liked his vision. I just don't like how it was executed. I think that it was definitely an Iron Man 2 Dark World type of, they still don't understand where they're going with it. And so let's just throw everything at it and make sure that it's this big, this huge development. But if you don't have the overall like years of payoff and all that, you're just trying to get the overwhelming sensation in one movie. And it came short on different occasions. And I would still, I don't know how I would rate it, to be honest with you. I'm not stoked to go rewatch it. I am glad I watched it. It's definitely better than it was before. I'm if anything, out of the good, I'm excited to where it will lead to future projects. And I would almost in my mind just make this a phase one in my head, like where are they going to go from here, and not base it off the other movies prior.
Well, did you see that today or yesterday, the head of Warner Brothers basically said straight up, like, no, this is a one-off. Like, this is not the reigniting of the Snyderverse. And I thought about, like, they've done actually, because I do have some, I don't really want to get into it here because I want this to be about like things we like, things we didn't like, all that fun stuff. But like, I'm really not stoked this movie exists just because of the venom that the fan base kind of threw out there to make it happen. Also had my own experience where apparently I didn't like the movie enough. And straight up had to like change my Twitter stuff around because I just put out an okay review of it versus saying it was the greatest movie ever.
You gotta drink a can of Axe to our father, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, well, that's the craziest thing is like the people that sit there and just blindly stan him. Like, I honestly feel like Warner Brothers is almost at a point now where they're saying like, hey, look, we did this to shut you up. But also, like, we're not doing any more than this because it does feel to me like they wanted to make this like into 2 movies, and Warner Brothers is like, no. And they're like, well, we want to continue. And Warner Brothers is like, no, we're not doing that either. Well, we want to do this. No. Can we make it a 6-episode series? No. You get 1 movie, put it out. It's done. And that's what it feels like to me. Is it was like their way of saying, look, we're going to do what these kids want, so they shut up. And so also Zack Snyder shuts up, because let's never forget that Zack Snyder was the number one person who drove the release of Snyder Cut stuff. But at the end of the day, they're still like, we don't like what those movies were doing. We don't think that we can see enough money coming back off of the backs of just the Snyder fans to make this worthwhile. Because like they spent, I don't know the exact amount, but I mean, they'll never tell, but they spent over $200 million on Justice League. They then spent an ungodly amount of money to go reshoot 3/4 of the movie with Joss Whedon. Then they spent another $70 million on top of that to let Zack Snyder put his shit back where it was in the beginning. So they're in the bag for probably like legitimately close to $400 million on this movie.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
true.
like that's insanity. Like that is an insane amount of money.
No, it's not.
And the difference is Marvel can put that much money into a movie, and they end up with a movie that up until last week with the re-release of Avatar was the top grossing movie of all time. Warner Brothers puts that money into a movie, and it's a footnote release on a weird COVID schedule on HBO Max. So like that says a lot about like Warner Brothers giving a shit about this movie going forward. I know they're like, oh, we put it in IMAX too, but like, yeah, did they really? Like 3 theaters are open.
And Disney's going to charge for $30 for Black Widow, and people will pay for that.
Dude, yeah,
they could have done a paywall.
I'll do it.
Should have done a paywall.
But
They might
here's
have
the
gotten
thing.
something back.
But could they have? Like, honestly, could they have? Because I think for them, it's more of like, I was thinking about that today, is like, just first off, the balls on Disney to charge $30 on top of their their $8 subscription.
Right.
But I think the difference is Disney already has an ungodly number of subscribers. So if they give it away, how many more subscribers is that going to drive for them, really? So they'll charge $30. Versus HBO Max is doing okay, but it does not have Disney numbers.
No.
So if they said, hey, $30 and you subscribe, people would have been like, nah, I'm good. I truly believe that, because I know a handful of Snyder fans that would have happily paid for the movie, and I know a lot more other people like ourselves that would have seen the movie when it came out for free.
Yeah, Disney's impressive. They're within a year have 100 million subscribers, and it took Netflix nearly 12 years to get that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Netflix is now at 200 million, but it took them almost 2 decades to get to those numbers, and Disney did it.
That's a little skewed, because this is like the dawn of subscriptions online and stuff. Like it was a new thing.
But imagine with 1 year, HBO Max has been out for how long? And I would be
almost a year.
They have.
What are Quibi's numbers right now?
2000.
They took all the HBO Max.
No,
so like,
Quibi. I forgot. Roku, of all people, bought.
Oh
Quibi.
yeah, God,
it was just weird. On there. They bought it pennies on the dollar. What was it, like a few million for like? Yeah, the amount that Quibi spent on original shows to sell it for pennies.
Those dummies. I got it for like $6 a month.
Yeah, I think we just got a free trial.
Despite the fact that like you guys were, lukewarm on the movie, thought it was better than the old one, but you don't have a desire to go back and ever watch it again. Would you agree with me in that there are definite like incredible scenes in this movie?
Oh yeah,
because that's what it felt like to me. It was like a collection of really good
like
scenes and not a good movie.
Yeah, like he does
Great
a lot
scenes.
of really cool like Batman shots. Like they're very comic booky.
Yeah.
Just like Batman vs Superman. Like they got like the classic, Batman jumping in the air, thick boy Batman with a lightning bolt coming behind him.
Yeah, like I like, weirdly enough, this movie that I really do like I'm going to be hypercritical of it, but like I watched the goddamn thing twice on purpose. Like that was my choice. I only had to watch it one time for us, and the second time was just because I'm weird, and I literally sat there with the Whedon cut on my iPad and the Snyder cut on my television, and I would like compare scenes. I just
let YouTube do that for me.
But like, I'm not smart enough to do that. But like, this movie contains probably my favorite Superman scene of all time. Like the part, and it's so stupid because he's not Superman in it. It's Clark standing in the cornfield with his hand out, touching the corn stalks. And that was the first time in 3 movies in 10 hours of footage he's filmed and released. But I was like, oh, dude gets Superman. He understands who he is.
When
He's
you said
not
he
the
felt itchy.
costume. He's the guy in the field. I think they did a great job of like really hammering home that these characters are gods. Like these aren't, this isn't Captain America where he's like a human plus, or like Thor where it's like it's a god but not really a god. Like these are presented like they're gods. Like when they show Wonder Woman's powers and they and like she does the typical slow motion thing that we've seen a million times of like the ting ting bullets going by. But then they show it in real time and it's stupid looking, but it's stupid looking because that's what it would look like. A machine gun's going at her, she's just like done, what up? Or when the Flash moves, how anytime it's not in his point of view, he's literally, to what anybody else can see, he's just teleporting. Like you don't see the Flash and go, oh, that guy runs fast. You see the Flash and go, there's a flash of lightning and he's here. There's a flash of lightning and he's across the room. There's a flash of lightning and he's in China. And I thought they did a great job of nailing that stuff. I think they really, more than anything else, showed the like terrifying power of these characters. And I think they did a good job of making it so that they spent, an hour and a half of the movie doing that, so that when they finally did fight Steppenwolf and Steppenwolf fucked them up, you would have that moment going like, oh, Steppenwolf's a serious threat, because we've seen how absolutely inconsequential everything else is to these folks. And so you then understand, oh, that's why they need Superman, because they're looking at Steppenwolf and going like, well, if we can't beat him and he's working for a dude who's even more of a badass than him, oh shit, we need Superman back. So it just made everything make more sense to me. And that's literally how low the bar was. That's all I was asking for it to do, is just make a little bit of sense. And it did.
And that's what I mean. Like it did make sense. Like it was very coherent this time around. The original cut was a huge fever dream for me. Like I almost don't remember any of it, to be honest.
Same.
This one I
So
will
bad.
remember. Like I understood what was going on for the most part, but there was like a ton of things that they don't even really get into, but it's like it's supposed to make me feel like it's a big thing. And I know it's a big thing. I know the comics and the cartoons and stuff, like the anti-life equation, but they don't really explain it in the movie. Like, what is it? It's a cool symbol on the ground and it's got a dumbass name.
Yeah, they present it as though it's like it's his Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
It's just one math problem.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, so if you want to go through character by character, Alex, I've got notes on all of them.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to bite my tongue on some of them too. So let's start off with Cyborg. What are you guys' thoughts on Cyborg? And good, bad?
Great character.
Night and day difference.
Yeah.
Night and day difference over the original. Like he's a character now.
Yeah, exactly. Like he has some agency. I just hate the way he looks. I don't like the robotic pieces. They're very, very, I don't know. The polygons look weird. He looked like Lawnmower Man to me in a way. And I was telling Alex earlier, like, we've been making Terminator movies since like the 80s, and the Terminators look way better than me.
Yeah.
So I think that. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just love the original look of Cyborg. When I think of Cyborg, I think of even the Justice League cartoons, not the Teen Titans Go, but like the more solid armor.
I want
having
a Buster
a complete
cannon.
body.
Yeah, I want a Buster cannon instead of like a little spike that shoots out stuff.
Right, like I'm ready. I'm like, what is this? Give me the huge cannon. Like you're gonna mess somebody up, not like do spa treatment on them.
Zap.
Well, like I understand. I do. Okay, I'll start with the thing I like about the way his character looks. I like that he looks unnerving, because like there's things like his torso is a little bit too long. His arms are a little bit too skinny. Like even if you look at his head, the cybernetic portion of his head that's like on the right side, it sits way lower than his skull. It is uncomfortable to look at. And I do dig the fact that they thought like, hey, let's give him like a really gnarly, like he almost looks like if you described a human to an alien and he drew it. That being said, it's like, a shitty design.
Yeah, I do like
he's made of knives.
The Frankenstein monster-esque of this version of him a lot, but yeah, I just don't like the way it looked.
I think there's a way they could have done it. I would have almost rather seen a lot more like metallic like skeleton style, like almost like a Terminator. Like if you're gonna make it uncomfortable to look at him, make it comfortable to look at him, and then make it like it's his doing that he replaces or augments the armor with like more human looking portions. But yeah, I think it's kind of crazy that he was such a just such an afterthought in the theatrical cut of the movie. And he is the driving force of this movie. Like, he and the Flash
Yeah.
have so much more to do in this,
Huge
to the point where now I'm like,
story.
oh, I get why they're getting their own movie. Or, well, so I guess Cyborg's not now, but like, I get why the intention was to give them their own movies, because after this, I was like, I would like to see more of their stories.
Yeah, the character development and just alone, he didn't ask for this. He had a promising future in football, and it really just kind of brings to light his turmoil. He didn't ask to be this hero. He didn't ask to be this cyborg, but he's alive because of it. And his dad was all into science. He didn't care really about his son. It was his son was almost an afterthought. It had to be his work. His work was so important, and he deals with that on a very emotional basis, which I thought was really
Was the
compelling.
dad in the original? Because I don't remember the dad at all.
I
The
don't
dad was in like
like
minutes
the
of the
recording.
original,
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
and he was like the like
He's from Terminator
he
2.
came off like a
Is
came off
he?
like a dick. In this one, he comes off like a Miles Dyson type. Like, the reason you
Yeah.
cast that dude is to get the Miles Dyson vibes, and they ran with it in this one.
What I really like, well, what was kind of funny too in that specific part of the movie was we get two plot devices that move the story forward, and they were both car accidents. There was a car accident for his mom, and then right after there was a car accident for the Flash.
Just wait
And
till
I-
down the road when they reveal it was actually the Winter Soldier.
That car's name was Martha.
And
Why
I
is
just
it
thought it was
Saturn?
weird that there was
The
just
part of
back-to-back car crashes.
that part was really weird. The other part that I found weird was like, and I mean, I know they do this in comic books a lot, but like, you don't have to do it in the movies. You can do whatever you feel like in the movies. Like, you can change it up, and we're okay with it. But why did he have to be a genius / football star / like cyborg man / like, just pick a thing. Like, he doesn't need to be a genius. Like, that's kind of the point of it, is like, that would almost make the story better if it was like his dad didn't connect with him, because his dad is a genius, and his son is a jock who's not stupid, but like, just doesn't care about science and only cares about playing football. And his dad's like, I wish I could understand my boy. And it's the accident that makes him understand him. So that was just weird to me. Like, I didn't understand, like, that whole line where, like, I like that his mom was in the movie, but the whole line where the principal, the dean of the college, whatever it was, because he's either the oldest college student or the oldest high school student or the second oldest college student I've ever seen. Like a 45-year-old man in college.
I mean, the CW shows exist.
Yeah, he is very CW aged. But like, the fact that when he sits down, it's like, your son can't just hack everyone's grades to do this. And it's like, well, why is that even part of it?
That was a weird plot device. Like, so that connected how? He's like, he's trying to do right.
Yeah.
I'm like, the other weird part was how they try to show the audience what Cyborg's ability was. And he's almost like stalking this woman.
Yeah.
And he's like going through his head and it's like building money with his hands. And there's a symbolic theme of a bear and a bull in the stock market. And he has all the power of anything on the internet he could manipulate. And I get it, but it was like also like, what, 100,000? You couldn't do like a mil?
Truthfully, I think that scene that you're calling out specifically shows the level of I don't want to say disdain. It shows the lack of trust that Scott Snyder has in the audience. Because if he had just stood there and you saw his eyes flash and then the screen change and it said $100,000, you would know what happened.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he's like, people won't understand it. Hold on, let's show him doing this with money. Like, that was such a weird choice to just be like, why are...
Yeah, let's see the stock market with the bear and bull.
I think it's very literal. It's just like Zack Snyder spending the money to make those effects.
Well, not gonna lie, like, there was this weird moment on the second time I watched it where I was picking away, like, okay, what could you get rid of? Like, what are the scenes? Because there's a lot of important stuff that you can't
there's
get
one
rid
that I
of
wrote down that you could get rid of. I can't remember what it was though.
But like, a lot of the Cyborg backstory stuff, I do think you could get rid of and not change the character. Like, you need to make sure his mom is there for a minute. You need to make sure you show him doing something ahead of time that shows that his dad's not there. But you don't need to show all of it they showed, and also showing the way his powers work, like that just seems silly.
It was
Yeah.
the long ass Icelandic Bjork song at the beginning that went on way too long for me. Like, just cut it. Like, it's already been going for 5 minutes.
Oh,
This is with
also, okay,
Aquaman.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
know we're
yes. I
still
wait until we get to Aquaman, but yes.
and I'm sure we'll talk about Superman, but this isn't necessarily a part of his story because it literally happens before the credits. It was goofy that the thing that wakes up the world is Superman's death yell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I want someone to cut that with that high pitched guy screaming.
yeah, well, because it was just so weird because like
I almost forgot
I
about
don't,
that. It
yeah, because
is
it's the very beginning of the movie and it's just oh, oh,
I think Superman's having an
oh.
orgasm.
Like that was a weird thing to just
That was
to
really
start the movie
weird.
with, because when that started I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna like this movie. Then I did, but
I honestly, I thought
it
it
was
was
just
better
such
than
a weird moment.
what you know, uh, as a thing that sets things in motions versus the original cut, at least.
Well, it just weirded me out that
So
it's like, how does every civilization knows what Kryptonians are, which that I'm into. That makes sense to me.
Hmm.
But it's the idea that like
like the
the
super saiyans of
Atlanteans
that
are just like
universe.
playing fucking ping pong like in Atlantis, like do we're having fun. Oh shit, did a Kryptonian just die? All right, go get the octopus to suck that box back up.
It's like the opposite of Alderaan. It's like one voice cried out and millions heard it.
Yeah, and just everyone like, but they literally heard it, not
Yeah.
like felt it in their soul or through the force. They were like, what was that? oh, I do believe. Oh, yeah, somewhere between Gotham and Metropolis, a Kryptonian just died.
I
Everybody, so
wonder
we
if
should.
anyone like went deaf then. Like, there has to be like a crazy like epicenter, like of just
Yeah,
where
like how
people
is
are deaf.
Batman not dead? Batman should just be goo. That's
So
the trick of the movie. Batman just
was
gets
that
like evaporated.
was that a hint to what the alternative timeline was, or because they allude to, the mother box was happening, that this is what's gonna happen. Like you guys are all dead. So did they just reverse that?
No,
I
like the whole thing where they're dead is some weird premonition that isn't
Yeah.
explained ever, but it was supposed to be, because it's Batman that's getting it for the most part, and then
so
Cyborg got it.
But
there was
was
a
that the same thing
report
as the
that the
beginning? Is that the same thing, or is that two different events?
I think that's the same thing.
So what we saw in the
I thought it was
beginning
two
is the
different events.
premonition
Is it two
of
different ones?
Cyborg.
Yeah, because the other part was like when Superman comes back. Because apparently Superman was always going to die and come back, but when Superman comes back, he doesn't, or he comes back okay, but then they kill Lois or Lois dies. From what I was reading, the original idea was the first movie was going to end. The first movie was going to be bringing Superman back, and it would basically end around that point. The next movie was going to be the nightmare storyline, where Lois gets killed, Superman goes batshit crazy, starts working for Darkseid, and they basically make a shittier version of Injustice.
Yeah, because it's supposed to
And
be
then a
Batman
third movie
somehow
that
got
like is his
Lois
redemption.
killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about even bringing in like finally bringing in a Robin, but it's going to be Carrie Kelly.
I do think it would be a better movie all the way. Both these movies Batman v Superman and this movie would be better movies if they didn't include any of that alternate future shit. Like that was just asking. It's too much. It's a hat on a hat, dude. Like we'll get into it when we get further into the movie, but I have real issues with the whole nightmare sequence in both movies.
I'm for it, but as long as they kept it as just like premonitions, not actually make like
right. But I just didn't understand what changed the premonition. Like what was different?
Nothing yet. It's supposed to have to do with when the Flash goes back to Batman versus Superman, and to warn them. And Lois is the key. Lois is the key. But they didn't get that part yet. So nothing has happened. You can't just say like,
seen that's going to don't kill Lois. You have to be like, Lois is the key.
Oh, I'm gonna make a joke first. Oh.
So let's get into Aquaman then.
All right. I was surprised also that he was a little bit toned down in this.
Very.
I
think very like quite a bit.
Yeah, he was very like bro in the original cut, and not so much in this one. Like he's still cool, he's still badass and everything, and they don't have to just do the even though they did like smash Jack Daniels, but like the figuratively, like I'm gonna bust the smack Jack Daniels on the ground. Like he didn't do the yeah when they're riding on the car and all that.
Yeah, you didn't get the my man.
Yeah.
Woo!
My
Instead,
man.
Well,
he seemed
we did get my
sad.
man, I think, but
Well,
we
yeah,
didn't get
that's true.
the
Yeah, he did still say that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But he seemed legitimately sad in this movie, and like
Mm,
I dug that. I dug the fact that he seemed like somebody who truly was like, I don't know where I fit in. And that makes sense for when he sees the league and they finally get him in there and he finally is like, oh shit, I fit in with these guys.
mhm.
And then that gives him the like, I guess, confidence to realize he can go back to Atlantis and
His
find
best
Mira
friend,
without an accent
William
and no more
Dafoe.
dolphin sounds. I actually, I dug those dolphin sounds. I thought that was such a smart way to just say like, here's how they talk underwater. Like if they want to speak English, they got to make a bubble. Otherwise, echolocation style dolphin sounds.
It's like SpongeBob.
Kind of, yeah.
Willem Dafoe was cool too. Like he wasn't in the original, right? So that was kind of like a big part of
No.
Aquaman, and I like that. Shockingly, looks good with long hair.
He did look like he was wearing the Green Goblin armor, though.
Yeah.
To me, like I felt like at any point he was going to be like, "Well, you know, Arthur, I'm something of a scientist myself." But no, I do think that Aquaman got better for this in this cut. I think he was just a better character.
Better character, still super awkward with the sea shanty.
Awkward man.
The whole singing was off. Like I didn't get it.
Dude.
I don't.
That
And it was very awkward. Like, why did they start that? And then are you just like standing there? Like, imagine just Bruce. Like, does this happen every time?
Yeah.
He just goes into the ocean. And okay, you're Aquaman. Why are you breaking glass and taking off your shirt? That's just going to the ocean.
He doesn't want to get
Wouldn't
his
you
shirt
want to
wet,
care
even though it was raining.
about the ocean? Yeah, right.
But also, like, that was the first of the needle drops that I just really could have done without. Like there were a lot of like
commercial, man. Like why was it so slow motion for him to go to the ocean? It was like 5 minutes of a sea shanty and just walking.
Slow motion.
Because we didn't appreciate Sucker Punch, Alex. That's why. And now we have to watch it happen again, but with less like 35% less rape fantasy. Yeah, there were definitely like 4 or 5 moments in this movie that I was like, oh yeah, you definitely made Sucker Punch.
It was like 3 just there. At least.
Yeah, he introduced everybody with a music video, and I found that weird. Also, it was just weird that he kept going to like Scandinavian villages only. Like that seemed interesting to me, where I'm like, why is it always like a weird Scandinavian village? Like he's never just like, I found myself in Boston today.
Yeah, that's the only civilization that fishes.
Apparently.
Knocked over my light. All right, let's get into The Flash. I got a lot to talk to you about The Flash.
Yeah, go. You go. What you got for Flash? Okay, what you know about Flash, Alex?
Wait. What? I'm gonna run.
Wait. Oh, there you are.
That joke. That was a good joke.
The Flash is very. You have to balance Flash, just like you have to balance Spider-Man. He's a quirky, kind of, has some witty lines, but there's still like that hero in him, right? And we get into those debates all the time with Spider-Man. Who is a better Spider-Man? Who portrays Peter Parker a certain way? You get that. But Barry Allen isn't just like a quirky guy. He has these like funny lines, but there's also the sense of like he's still a hero. And I don't like Ezra Miller as the Flash at all, and I don't like the portrayal of him. I don't even like the suit. I think that this movie, the Snyder Cut, it did kind of humanize him more. I thought the original one was just like, I just can't stand this person, and this movie I thought it was funnier. I like the lines better. I like that he was more. I thought it was more enjoyable. The more I saw him. It just doesn't. Overall, I still can't get over how just he has to be awkwardly quirky all the time, and that's pretty much what I thought of it. And any scene he's in, he's just trying to make a joke out of it, and I just didn't. It just didn't feel like the Flash to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. And like at first, like I did, and honestly, like it's the actor itself. Like I don't like the actor anymore because he's kind of shitty. So kind of really bleeds into the character of the Flash.
Choke one woman out in a bar, and all of a sudden you're a shitty person.
Was it a bar? It looked
It was like
very
outside of
bright.
a bar or
At a
something.
Toys R Us.
Yeah,
I don't know.
at a children's hospital. Um, and so I think that kind of bled into the character. I thought the Flash was fine in this. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Flash has been better represented in other forms. Even like TV show Flash is miles better than.
I like
than
Grant as Flash. I think he's definitely more of the more serious Flash. I think I would like that Flash to be a little bit more, give the liners. He's just almost overly cocky at times, and that's what
Yeah,
I want out of Flash. And I didn't get that.
I think
still don't.
overall he did what he was meant to do well, and that's about it. It's just whatever, like I don't.
Yeah.
Ah.
Got 10% left.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I think the Flash was better in this movie than he was in the last one, but I'm with you guys. I don't love Ezra Miller. Like, I'm not clamoring for a Flash movie starring him. I do think his opening scene was, with the exception of that fucking song, was really cool. Like, I did like the fact
Why was
that,
she
like,
wearing a seatbelt?
dude, why was that guy going that hard to get his hamburger? He knew he was going to an intersection. There's just so many weird choices.
He's coming from Raccoon City.
I do think that's one of the very few like slow motion scenes in the movie that I didn't have a problem with.
Definitely showed off his power a lot more.
It did feel a little bit like they were they're like, hey, we saw Day of Future Past 2, check it out. But and also I did dig the fact that he grabbed the hot dog out of the air, because I was like, those hot dogs are in the air. Then when he grabbed it and took it in with him to sit with the dogs, I was like, all right,
I
that's
thought
cool.
it was going to be because he was poor.
I know.
I would have taken that too, like just like a half hour later
snacking.
to see him snacking on a hot dog.
Yeah,
just
offering
pocket
egg
dogs.
in these trying times.
Yeah.
I think my biggest issue is just the actor in the suit. I think that Flash suit is stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
Yeah.
The Flash should dress like even the bike helmet on its own doesn't bother me. It's the fucking like the metal fishing line from every piece to the other. Like I get real upset when you can't look at a costume for a comic book character and see how they could get in or out of it. And that's all I could think is like, so when he puts that on, does he have to put on like a leotard? Then he tops it in the armor, and then he just sits there like winding like metal straps around his body to keep shit from falling off. And like, what? So if one of those fallen off before, did it kill somebody? Like, what happened there? Like, the only part of that costume I think is really good was the fact that there's the especially on his helmet, you see there's like these scuff marks that like roll back where you can see he like ran through things. But even that freaks me out because I've seen The Boys, so I know what that means when you run through something and you're at super speed. I can't wait for somebody to recut one of the scenes where the Flash runs, and then the next scene is Huey holding his girlfriend's arms, and the next scene is the Flash stopping.
It's cracking a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. Flash was fine. I do appreciate they gave him a lot more agency, and he like him and Cyborg are the heroes of the movie. They are literally the reason anything good happened.
I think his dad was in this more, wasn't he? I feel like it was.
Yeah, he was. And the ironic part is now he's not going to be in the Flash movie.
Yeah.
They said Billy Crudup's not going to come back.
Yeah, and they like laid down the tracks for Reverse Flash and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll set up for no payoff.
That's the other weird part too, is they're still making a Flash. They're making Flashpoint, but they've also been very emphatic about no more Snyder-verse movies. But it's going to be Ezra Miller as the Flash and Flashpoint, but somehow not tied to the Snyder Cut version of the Flash. So we're not going to get the version that goes like almost to the speed of, or goes past the speed of light and travels through time.
It's going to be more multiverse stuff, and now we're going to have two franchises with multiverse.
Flashpoint, too many Batmans.
Yeah, oops, all Batmans.
Oh, I like that movie.
So let's move on to Wonder Woman, which for one, that fight scene where she just shows off her powers, like immensely, just shows how much of a beast she is. I mean, when she kicked down those doors, I was like, damn, these guys are in trouble. Like, that was a moment for me, was one of the biggest wins, was showing how powerful these
like, ooh.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Like it really did show off her powers, like more than any other movie. And Yeah, you almost get that godlike feeling for Wonder Woman, which can't really say you really get that with the other ones. You get the whole bullet blocking, but not to the extent you're just knocking someone through a wall
Hmm.
without even breaking a
Not
sweat.
knocking through a wall, knocking the wall down and somehow
Mhm.
not killing anybody else in that room.
Yeah.
I actually, I think I'm
Too
judging a lot
excited.
on like how much I really just was disappointed by Wonder Woman 84.
See, that's
Oh,
key.
I
yeah.
Don't
I
watch it
think
Don't
I
then.
talk about
might
that
be
movie.
over. I think I might be over Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Like, she's not really the greatest actress, and I could let that go in, Batman v Superman, and I could let it go in like what was mostly a good Wonder Woman movie. But then having to watch Wonder Woman 84 and then watching this movie, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't belong here.
I
Go back to Fast and Furious. They brought Han back, Giselle can come back too.
I like that Wonder Woman is personable compared to all the other heroes. I think that she was badass and just like killed 20 people and just looked out for the kids and like, are you okay? And really just touched base with them. I think that was very like
Yeah,
polarizing between hero and her as a person who Diana is. But
I would have loved
uh,
if that little girl was like, "Can I be like you when I grow up?" She was like, "No, I'm a
No.
god." Like, no, sweetie,
Demas.
no. I
made out
love
of
you, but no.
clay.
Is your daddy Zeus? No.
Oh yeah, guess who my dad is? Yeah.
I don't know.
Nerd.
I think I'm over her for a while, but like, yeah, I think the way they showed her powers was incredible. Like they
I
really
think.
did for the first time show that she is so far beyond anybody she's fighting. Like she shouldn't be
Mhm.
struggling with anybody. But
No,
also that made me get mad because I'm like, well, if Wonder Woman 84 happened 30 years before this movie, why the fuck did she struggle fighting Cheetah when she
right,
literally is
yeah.
just vaporizing buildings and doesn't give a shit about, like, she is just a beast in this movie.
Hmm. I
My
I'm
my biggest issue
still.
is just that she kept calling Superman Kal-El, and it was so familiar,
Oh
and I had
yeah.
to think about it, and I even had to go back and watch. I'm like, yeah, she never called him that before. She has no reason to know that's his name. Like that was
Yeah.
really weird. How she's just like, Kal-El, come back to us, Kal-El, it's you, and it's like, bitch, you don't know him. You
Yeah,
saw
you
him
don't know
for
my name.
35 seconds, and then he died. Like this isn't some
That's
like
true.
long, like deep seated thing where you're like, my old friend is back. Instead,
Skinny
it's like
boy.
the guy I worked with one day who got murdered. Hey, he's cool. He's back. I guess I can get to know him now. I'm just gonna start calling him his birth name.
Yeah, I think
That was so weird.
I think they did a better job as far as her character goes in this, because in the original cuts, it's more like, I don't want to help. I don't want to do this. I've been hiding for some reason for years, and this one's like, no, we know who she is. Like we need her. We need help.
Mhm.
I do like the
Um,
fact that it was like she's in the first movie. Bruce is like, you hid for 100 years
yeah,
from men and everything, and then you watch Wonder Woman 84, and people were like trying to call it like, well, that's a plot hole, and I'm like, actually, is it though? Or did she come out of hiding one time in